Hi, I'm Auntie Sharon, host of Mary's Eclectic Interests. We have a great show for you today. Today I have Gene Nicolelli with me, and he is a volunteer for AARP. And he's going to tell us about these seminars that he does for helping us to age in our home. Hi, Gene.
Hello, Sharon. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for coming, because I'm really interested in this, because I have a home and I need to know how to prepare it and get it ready for when I need it.
Wonderful. Hopefully we'll have some good ideas for you.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with AARP?
Well, I am an architect, and I'm licensed in Minnesota and California. I have over 40 years of experience in residential design and single-family and multifamily. I got interested in aging in place, we'll be talking about a number of years ago, and as I researched it, I found that AARP had a lot of good material and such like that. So that's kind of how I kind of got into it. I also, one other added thing is I am also a certified aging in place specialist.
What does that mean?
Well, basically, it's just some additional classes that you take and some tests that you take for certification that specializes more into the aging in place of the home, and what we'll be talking about is things that you can do and such like that. So just a little bit more knowledge-based.
Well, you talk about the aging in place. What does that all mean?
Well, aging in place, if you don't mind, I've got it up on the screen here because I want to make sure I say it correctly, but aging in place is the ability to live in one's home and community in a safe, independent, and comfortable manner, regardless of your age, your income, or your ability.
Oh, okay. So turning my home into something that anybody can live into.
Absolutely. So it's the idea that it makes it more safe and more usable and more adaptable. But safe is the key.
Okay. I think you mentioned the word universal. What does that mean?
Universal. Well, again, I'll use my computer here to cheat a little bit and describe what universal design is. Very simply, it's design that's usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. So when we get back to aging in place is really the objective. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to achieve, is to be able to live in our home comfortably and safely. Well, universal design is the tool that gets us to aging in place. So what we'll be talking about and what we'll be looking at and discussing are things that you can do to your home that makes your home more adaptable, but they're all universally designed principles.
Maybe you can go to my kitchen and he can show me what I could do with my faucets or the cabinets and that.
Absolutely, let's go do that.
Okay.
What's really nice is the kitchen and bath industry has really captured universal design. They are every day they're coming out with new types of fixtures and designs and cabinetry and stuff like that with universal design in mind. So I really like to give them a lot of credit for being in the forefront and staying ahead of the game on this. So every day they're coming out with something new. Because our sink is not that deep, it's higher. This type of faucet is okay, but let's say you've got a pan that's a deep pan, you're going to find that you're struggling to get it underneath.
Oh, sure.
So what I would recommend you do is replace this style of faucet with a gooseneck faucet. And then that way, again, you can get your bigger pot in there, you can swing it in, fill it up with water, swing it out, and then you lift it.
What about sprayers?
Well, the nice thing about the goosenecks is they all come with the sprayers built right with them.
Oh, they are.
So it's almost a standard now. Now, as far as the sink's concerned, again, this is a good-sized sink. Most sinks are generally 10 to 11 inches in depth. This one here is about 5 inches. And you want something that's a little bit more shallow, so it's easier to take dishes, put dishes in, take dishes out, etc. However, one problem I see is that the drains are in the center, which is okay. However, if you were to take the drains and put them more towards the back of the sink,
Really?
Then what this enables you, and I'll show you by opening up the lower cabinet, what we can do. By doing what I'm suggesting is we're providing an opportunity The opportunity is, as you'll notice, under every sink is wide open. Now, if you were to take this 4-inch high shelf and remove it and take it down to the floor level, now by taking the drains, putting them in the back, you're taking all that plumbing and putting it in the back as far as the drains are concerned.
Okay.
And then what you can do is by taking a stool, you can actually sit down and you can sit and get forward and get your legs underneath the sink if you want to do dishes or if you're preparing vegetables or what have you.
So if someone's in a wheelchair, they could pull right up to it.
That is correct too, versus having to pull up alongside.
Okay.
So it gives you the opportunity. So again, you may never want to do this, but the option's available to you should you want to do it in the future or need to do it in the future.
Well, how do you find sinks then that have that hole in the back?
They're readily available.
They are.
You can go online. Facilities that have equipment like this, it's not a problem. They're very much available. Very simply, that's about what we can talk about with the sinks. There's a lot of different faucets. If instead of having a handle, they've got sensors where you can just touch it and the water will come on.
Oh.
You can or you can wave and the water will come on.
You can wave?
You can wave at it. It's again, it's a sensor. It's touch and sensor.
Oh, wow.
And then there's even faucets where you can use your foot at the bottom and you can touch it and then the water will come on. A lot of different things that you can do with that. They even have LED lights that you can put on there that can distinguish between cold and hot.
Oh.
So there's a lot of interesting things out there to make life a little bit easier for you and such like that, make it more safe.
Sure.
Let's talk about the upper cabinets.
Okay.
With the upper cabinets, the industry is 18 inches from the bottom of the upper cabinet to the countertop.
Okay.
However, to make it more accessible, you can actually take the upper cabinets and lower them down tone to 15 inches. So just by bringing it down 3 inches, it brings the drawers and everything down a little bit closer so it becomes easier to retrieve things from the upper cabinets.
Oh, so all this would come down so I could easily, instead of having to...
Versus having to get on a stool or
Right.
get on your tippy toes, yes. Now the caveat is obviously before you want to lower your cabinets, you want to make sure that if there's any appliances that you stick underneath there are not going to be interrupted as far as not being able to tuck underneath that space.
Sure.
So that so that's something that you want to think about. One thing that that I'm not seeing here real quickly for both upper and lower cabinets is how do we open up our cabinet doors? Right now we're having to kind of fumble our way through trying to grab an edge. Well, there's two different types. There's the knob type, there's the circular type that you can grab and pull, or there's what they call the D handle. So it's kind of shaped like a D. And actually that is the best type of handle to have. With the knobs, you're kind of grabbing it like this, so it's a little, if you have arthritis or become difficult, it becomes a little more harder to do. However, if you've got a D handle, you can get your fingers underneath it and then it's easier to pull out. Okay. So there's not as much effort. And I always say that, the wider the D is, the more fingers you can get in there, so it makes it a little bit easier. It's, I'll leave that up to you as far as which one you feel. Here, on this side, just to open it up here. Now, there isn't any shelves in here, but obviously there's usually shelves here that you can put your dishes or what have you. There's actually accessories that you can purchase. There's shelving that works on a hinge that you can actually grab. You can pull the shelves down and take things right directly from the shelf to the countertop without having to reach for it.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah. And another thing that we can do that is, as you can see when you open up the doors, that they only open up so far.
Right.
So it becomes a little bit difficult if you're trying to put dishes in, take dishes off, or what have you. And you have to kind of sometimes put your arms together to get things in and out. Well, what they have is they have hinges now that they call a 160 hinge. So it takes that door and instead of opening it like this, it opens it up almost flush with the cabinetry, so now you have full access to that upper cabinet. So it makes it a little bit easier again to take things in and out.
And then you don't hit yourself on the head.
And then
with
you
it.
don't hit your head on the bottom of the countertop, or on the drawers. I'm sure we've all done at least once.
Right. And what about lighting access?
Now, lighting in kitchens, you can never have enough lighting. I mean, the more light, the better. So one thing that you can do is there's a device here.
Oh.
It's a task lighting. Again, getting that lighting close to the surface.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're remodeling it and you've got the money and the expense, if you can hardwire and put LED lights, all the way across the bottom of your the upper cabinets, that's the best way to go. But you're saying, okay, Gene, well, I don't want to spend all this money to do that. Is there an alternative? Well, you can buy these light pucks that can actually adhere to the underside of the cabinet, and then you can see that by just hitting the light that it comes on, and
really
then all you
lights it
gotta
up.
do is tap it and it's off, and it's battery operated. Change the batteries ever so often, so it's easy to do, but it's a nice inexpensive way of getting more lighting down at the surface where you're working.
True, that's true. Okay, thank you. That's great. These are wonderful ideas, and I can't wait to implement them.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the base cabinets now.
Oh, okay.
So what I found, if you're going to do a remodel, you're going to remove all your cabinetry and put in new cabinetry. I found that regardless of price point, from very inexpensive to the high end, that again the kitchen industry is, instead of using doors like you typically see, they're starting to come out with drawers. So you'll have a full flank of wide, deep drawers that you can put your pots and pans in and such like that. The whole idea again is that you're not bending down or having to get in your hands and knees to get something out.
Right.
Now, however, if let's just say you're putting in new faces that you want to keep the cabinets and you don't want to change everything, what you can do is, if you still have the old door style, what you can do is you take the shelving that's usually fixed, you can't move it, or again, there's our accessories that are available, so you can actually take those shelves and convert them so that they can pull out.
Oh, okay.
So again, the idea that you want everything to come to you versus you having to go to everything.
Oh, okay.
That's available as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with your kitchen, again, to make it more usable and more adaptable for your needs.
Right.
One last thing I will make, if you do have a little bit in your budget and you want to spend some money, I've done this on a couple of projects. Or actually, you notice we have this toe kick, this toe space underneath here.
Yes.
Every kitchen has one. What's nice is it's about 4 inches, and what you can do is you can use that 4 inches and actually create a step. That if you hit it, a step will come out, and then you can actually step on it, and it brings you a little bit higher. Again, makes it a little bit easier. If you lower the cabinets and you got all these little fun things on your upper cabinets, it makes it that much easier to access the upper cabinets. So.
Oh, I like that idea of having a step come popping out.
There you go. It's a nice idea. It works, but it's a little bit pricey because it's more of you'll find that in a custom, not in your lower end kitchens.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, as far as the base and upper cabinets are concerned, the only other thing I will mention is the countertop in relationship to the flooring. You want to make sure that your countertop and your floor are contrasting colors. You do not want to have them be the same color, white on white, or black on black, what have you.
Yeah.
The idea is that if you've got something you're transferring it, if you're not paying attention and not seeing the edge of the countertop, what's going to end up happening is you might put it on the edge and it could fall off.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that's always important to consider.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
So anyway, that's about it in this area.
That's great. I know exactly what to do now, and you can do it too if I can. It's really easy, and I love the way that you explained it and the books that you have to show us how to do things.
Wonderful.
But don't forget, go to a seminar. Yeah, I'm going to go to one. So,
thank you. Well, wonderful.
Thank you. So I think there's a couple other things I wanted to ask you about. Let's go over into the other area, okay?
Sounds wonderful.
All right, with my stove and the cabinet over here.
Well, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Now, in this particular situation, a cooktop versus a typical range that you would see. A lot of people, what I mean by a range is it has the cooktop and the oven are all one component. So this is separate from your oven. So again, what I talked about earlier as far as what we could do at the sink, as far as opening it up underneath, you could do the exact same thing with the countertop here. Again, the idea that you can open it up underneath, and then again, you could take a bench and you can drag it up to there, and you can sit and cook or what have you if you have to watch something.
That's great. Even just sitting there, but if I was in a wheelchair or something later on in life, I could go from the sink to here really easy with a wheelchair.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Like that. And the only other thing that you want to take into consideration, and it's not so much an issue with the cooktops, but it can be, it's a big issue with the ranges. Is that with the ranges, you'll notice that a lot of all of the controls are in the back. And that's actually not a good location for them, especially if you've got a gas cooktop versus a electric. You really want to do is you really want to have the controls in the front.
Oh, the front.
Or in this case, like with this particular cooktop, is all along the side, which is good. It's the idea again. You're not trying to. You don't want to reach where you've got pots and pans that are cooking. So it just makes it easier and more easy to control in the front as far as trying to do something.
Oh, okay.
And people say, well, geez, what about I've got small children and such like that. Well, actually, with those types of ranges, the controls are designed in such a way that it's difficult for a child to turn it on.
Oh, okay, sure.
And in some cases, they even have timers on them so that if they're on, they're not on for any great length of time.
Oh, well, this is great. Thank you so much. You can see I'm in the middle of remodeling now and that, so these are helpful things that I can implement.
Wonderful.
So is there anything else that we're, might need or mention?
There probably is, but wait for the seminar.
Okay, well, let's go sit down and I think you said there were some things you wanted to show me.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
Well, let's go sit down.
Okay.
Wow, that was great. I learned so much by you showing me the different things that I can do in my kitchen. Thank you so much. I can't wait to start adapting some of those things to make it so that I can use it better when I get older too.
Wonderful,
So,
wonderful.
The other thing too I wanted to ask you, these seminars that you do?
Yes.
Where do you do them?
Well, actually, what I do is different organizations will contact the AARP office and say that they would like to have the Homefit seminar, and then the AARP then contacts me, and then I make arrangements with that organization. One thing that's I do want to stress is that the seminar is free. There's no fees involved, and that I encourage any organizations, church groups, senior centers, clubs. It's really open to anybody that is interested in the subject. Basically, all I need is a room and then a screen to give my presentation to, and I'll take over from there. But so that would be how I would start that.
And so at your seminars, you get more in depth about.
That is correct.
The things
I actually have 2 seminars. I have the long version, which is about an hour and a half. So the things that we talked about today is just scratching the surface. There's a lot of more in-depth information that I provide people. And then I have a shorter version, which is a 1-hour version where I cut out a few little pieces, but try to keep the more important ones in there. So if you only have an hour to spare, I can accommodate you.
Okay, so all I have to do is call up AARP and then find out if I don't have like a business or a place of work that is doing it, I can find out where there is some around as an individual?
I believe so, yes. I know
Okay.
that libraries have community centers that they if you live in
Okay.
that community, that you can rent out, or they'll give it to you at
Okay.
no cost. And so there are those types of areas. Like I said, I know that there's senior centers and such like that.
Okay.
So there are those types of venues that are available. So.
Okay. And I got your book that you
Wonderful.
you use these books at your
Yes,
seminar.
if you attend my seminar, you will get one of these little booklets, which is it's just kind of it gives you some tips and ideas. Talks about some of the things that we talked about today, and it covers some of the things I give on the seminar.
Okay. Now, if someone can't make it to the seminar, how can they get one of these books?
Good question. Basically, if you go to AARP.org
Okay.
/homefit, it'll take you to the page where you can actually order this or download this right off of the computer, this
Okay.
actual brochure. In addition to that, they also have different checklists, items that you can, for each room. And again, things to consider when you're talking about what you would have been nice to have had when you prior
Yes.
to purchasing your home.
Right.
So there's just a lot of wonderful information on that page that is accessible to you that you can download. You do not have to be a member of AARP. This is for the publics, so anybody can download this information. So I would encourage anyone who's considering making improvements to their homes to check out this website.
Yeah, and I really like this book. This is great. It really gives you some information of things you can actually do room by room, and it has checklists that you can go
Right.
through. And I like the fact that it asks you questions about what is your house like now, and you check
Correct.
off, and oh, this is a problem, I better look into it, kind of a
Right.
thing. So I really like this, so I can't wait to go do some of these things that we talked about today. So Gene,
Yes.
tell me, what happens if the people do not have a computer and they can't go find it and they can't print it out online?
Then I would probably suggest that they contact AARP, the Minnesota branch, and call them and just ask the person that they either direct you to, or the receptionist, and just say, I would like to get a copy of the Home Fit Guide, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to take your name and address and mail one out to you.
Okay, there's an 800 number?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
there is an 800 number, but that will take you to the national, and I think the national will also be able to assist you. I'll be honest with you, I haven't checked that out, but I'm pretty sure that you could go national, and that they would send it to you as well.
So either the national or the local Minnesota one?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that both entities are available. Yeah.
That's great. I am so excited. This has been just a great time. I've enjoyed meeting you and learning all about ways that I can make my home more age appropriate for myself as I'm aging, so I can stay in my home because I love my home and that. So
Wonderful.
I thank you so much for coming.
Well, again, thank you for having me, and remember, aging in place isn't just for the old, it's for the young as well, so it works for everybody.
That's right.
Senior, whether you're a senior in high school or whether you're a senior in life,
That's great.
aging in place is important for everyone.
That's right. I love that comment. And check out, don't forget to call the 800 number and check out about the aging at home and maybe one of the seminars that you can go to. So I'm Auntie Sharon, host of Mary's Eclectic Interests. Thank you for coming by. See you next time.